Hi, everybody. This is day 1521. 1521 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered, ordered, code red, murdered on Fort Bliss, the military installation in El Paso, Texas, in July of 2020. And we received an official declaration of death with receipts. Um, which entails a lot of things, and still the narrative, um, they just want to twist the narrative, and we're here every day telling you the truth, and the truth is coming out. Beyond Team Find Richard Halliday, the truth is coming out. Everybody knows that there is a criminal trafficking at our borders, that there's a group of people that are profiting mighty from that, and that they're evil because they're trafficking children, and that these children are mostly dead. And there's a lot of them, hundreds of thousands of them, and they're unaccompanied. So something's very fishy with that. Unaccompanied. Who, I've said, if you send your child to daycare, they're unaccompanied. And I got some looks on that one, because there might be people looking after, but no one looks after your children like you do. And anytime you leave them unaccompanied, um, from your family, from your love, unless you're a Hart, unless you're a Leilani Hart family member, James Hart, who really abused their children, very much so. Um, but unaccompanied children, that red flags go up all the time for me. Um, and because who takes care of them really? Children require a lot of care, a lot of care, a lot of love, a lot of training. And I'm not claiming that to be the best mother or anything like that. I'm just saying the facts. Children require a lot of training. We went to a pet store today, and there was a ferret and a Snow White cat, um, turtles, some birds, some fish. No dogs, no dogs. We're asking. Oh wait, there was lizards there, and where are the dogs? Oh, we can't keep dogs. Dogs require a lot of work. They need space. They need work. They need love. They need a lot of training. Um, yeah. So this is, and I'm not comparing children to dogs. I'm saying you have living things, you have living beings, um, and children require far more. And I it's just a fact. And hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied children, hundreds of thousands. So I want to thank um, Eduardo. I hope I have your name right. Let me look it up real quick before I go on. Because somebody posted, and maybe I have just a lot of previous. Let me see. I want to get this name right. Yes, Eduardo Stephen Ray. I want to thank him because um, I've always loved poems. I like to write poems. I like arts. I like to paint. I like, and we have these tools now that you can put in a lot of information and it will help you. I used to use, and I still do, Rhyme Zone. Rhyme Zone is a great tool, great site to help you write poetry. And I was just flabbergasted. We were just like amazed. He sent us like this country version of the poem that we wrote, and it's it was just amazing to hear it to song. So I'm gonna play our version of it. We went, and of course it's an AI app where you can put in the lyrics, and you can tweak it. And so we even corrected some of our lyrics, made it more, made, I don't want to say corrected it, but we clarified it so that people understood where we were coming from with the lyrics of it. And we're going to play it. And then, we added some like violin and country, of course, and then the version that Eduardo had sent us, and thank you so much again, it, you know, cut off at the end. So um, we tweaked that today, and I hope you enjoy it. And what we named it is from ashes of voices. We have hundreds of thousands of children, mostly dead. We have who knows how many of our service members dead. You know, the schemes, um, the twisted leadership, the treasonous leadership in so many areas. In so many areas, you can't even trust the cause and manner of death. That means suicides. Or did they really commit suicide? You know, um, you cannot trust in El Paso County. You cannot trust the cause and manner of death since 2014. Okay, you can argue maybe longer than that, but we know since 2014 the cause and manner of death determined by Mario Raskin Ortiz cannot be trusted because he's not qualified, he's not legal, and his conflicts of interest, the nepotism, the conflicts of interest are so vast, and they've got money. This is not like a gang, okay? We're talking about really devious infiltration and impersonation, usurpation. That's what we're talking about. It's so criminal. I think a song could be sang from that, right? Let's see if I'm on. Let's see if everything. I'm gonna plug this in too. We've been so busy trying to put this song together and fascinated with the AI. Really fascinated how the AI can do that. Hi, Anicia. Thank you so much. So I'm going to play the song. Let me turn this up just a little bit to make sure that you guys can hear it. I shouldn't say you guys. Y'all. Okay, here we go. I don't know if you could hear that. I'm going to, well, I did put it on X already. Uh, if you haven't been on Twitter, X, we do have an account there and we're growing it. We are on many different platforms, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, X. Um, Let me think if there's something else. But we are we do have an Instagram. I don't post on Instagram that much. I need to do that, but no excuses because we need to get the word out. And it's so important to get this message. And if this song helps that, called The Ashes of Voices, from the Ashes of Voices. And so I'll explain it to you right now, the poem and the song, the lyrics. Let's see if I can pull it over here. And why is this so important? And why, does our case concern El Paso? So here it is, from Ashes of Voices. So 325,000. So that's the number that we're getting of these children from 2021, which was after Richard was murdered, to about now to 2023. So in those 3 years, 2021, 2022, and 2023, the count is about 325,000 missing children, mostly dead. Because how do you lose 325,000 children? And where are they, right? And they've been asking this question for months and months. It started out as 80,000, where are the 80,000? And we know that there are some really demonic forces that demand children. And these sex cults, I can't even talk about it on this. So to hear now officials and including President Trump say it loud, where are these 325,000 children and mostly dead? And they're all the way up to 17 years old, okay? And what people might not know is that Fort Bliss was entrusted with them. Fort Bliss and El Paso was entrusted with most of them in the emergency intake center. And it's huge. And we know that people are scattering right now because of what happened with P. Diddy. I don't think there is any questions that evil hands were on this. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I think there's enough evidence out there that people understand that what Team Find Richard Halliday is saying is that absolutely Richard had huge motive and was whistleblowing and was in communication with Washington, D.C., with the IG, with the CID, with FBI Houston, with 911. He was absolutely whistleblowing. And I don't think that there is any doubt at all to that because of the reports. Even in sanitized reports where they, because it was the CID that are the prime suspects in the murder of Richard. So even in their sanitized reports, they expose Richard's whistleblowing activities. And then, of course, Belen Rocha and more. and more. There's plenty of evidence, and there's plenty of evidence that what he was exposing um, absolutely existed. And we, this last week, we were informed that Richard also had information about the Walmart mass shooting case, and Glendon Oakley Jr. was now being investigated. His death was being investigated. If you haven't heard of Glendon Oakley Jr., he was another soldier on Fort Bliss who was a witness, an eyewitness in the um, Walmart mass shooting of August 3rd, 2019. And he was found dead in his barracks in April of 2020, just before Richard was murdered. So that's really um, important setting uh, to corroborate this song, to reason why we wanted to put the poem together. And then when Eduardo put it on AI to produce a song, we thought, well, that's a good idea. That's a good idea to get the information out, because for Richard, for Glenda, for the hundreds of thousands of children, for the other victims that we don't even know about, that are service members, um, ones that have survived this, you know, and were mistreated and retaliated against. And of course, in our son's case, witnesses that have been retaliated against, uh, just extreme retaliation. And so, where does this come from, and how can this happen? And at the beginning of all of this in Team Find Richard Halliday, there were so many people saying, oh, when we would say this happened, how can that happen in the military? How can that happen? How can that be? These are our leaders. And so we added that into the poem. And so I'm going to read it. 325,000, their voices so small. It's kind of like, what is that little cartoon from Dr. Seuss, little movie that they made, that someone heard a who. I can't remember the elephant's name, but someone heard a who, right? He could hear, it was so small. The sound was so small. Well, that's these voices, because they're unaccompanied. Their voices are so small, right? From distant lands, taken by a kidnapping team. Yeah, these aren't just young people that just like, oh yeah, I'm going to travel now up through the country and go to USA. No, these we have plenty of witness testimonies, and now it's coming out in the public that these were snatched from their countries, snatched from their homes, snatched from, maybe orphanages. Maybe it's kind of like in The Sound of Freedom, where they tell the parents, hey, we're going to train your children today to for what, movies or something like that, musicals or movies or whatever. And then when the parents come to pick them up, they're not there, right? They were kidnapped. So this is absolutely a kidnapping scheme, a kidnapping team. And we wanted to make sure that everyone knew that these children did not willingly come. They didn't. Most of them did not willingly come. And that's already um, not from us. That's already established. So, what happened to them on this perilous stream? So, here they're streaming into the country, and it's so dangerous, right? Who knows um, what happened to them? Who knows? I mean, if they're going to retaliate against witnesses in El Paso, against soldiers in El Paso, against whistleblowers in El Paso, so vile, so vulgar, the family of a murdered soldier, that they will retaliate so vile, so vulgar. What do they do to these children on the perilous stream, right? That's that's why we added that. The next verse is Fort Bliss, Texas, a facade of care, yet shadows concealed what lurked in the air. Systematic betrayal with treasonous schemes, generals misused, public resourced security teams. Now, we found that out, of course, with Jules Tuganon Chan and FitFam El Paso, and of course, through Thomas Kane, the Director of Emergency Services, also with Ann Ogle, CYS. We found that out with the Emergency Intake Center. That was all paid for by um, by the American taxpayer, and all in the hands of the admirals and generals, um, these security teams, and they misused them because where are these children? Where are they? And they're mostly dead. Um, our son Richard, the whistleblower brave, exposed the dark underbelly, the children to save. Team find Richard Halliday, persistent and strong, revealing the truths of the world gone wrong. I don't need to explain that to anybody. FitFam El Paso, in fitness they bask, but beneath the surface a darker task. Epics reach agents in social media guise, interference caught by our opened eyes. So that verse we did tweak. Um, we put in the word agents so people would understand that EPIC is El Paso Intelligence Community. A lot of people don't know that, and we didn't know that. And that's I'm not at liberty to say everything about that. Um, but they are absolutely up to no good, and I don't think that they're all up to no good, but they have been infiltrated and they're up to no good, and HRC has a big hand in that, which is human resources. So and FitFam, um, looking into FitFam and why they were reporting on Richard the way they were. And, I didn't even add media in this poem because FitFam El Paso absolutely has a contract with KTSM. They are, you have to think of them as just one entity. And of course, with El Paso Matters. And so that came out, and, just the bad, the smear the smear campaign with Richard, and the lack of proper stories about his declaration of death. Absolutely, that has been all uncovered, and of course, it is about the intelligence community. So we're they get so much protection because you want to be careful around them because you don't want to hurt real intelligent agents, right? And so um, those that are up to no good get some extra protection. It's really hard to expose them, but we've done it. We've done it. So we've reported on that. It's, yeah. I mean, we've had to write to the CIA, y'all. We've had to write to the CIA so many times, to the FBI, right? So, anyway, the next verse is, how could this happen? Where justice should stand, usurpers took power with a bribe in their hand. El Paso Mag Court judges since 2015 were to be elected, not appointed, unseen. And that's really important when it comes to the DA's office, when it comes to this panel of impersonators on the magistrate court. They cannot be appointed. It's so dangerous. And I'm working on another report. Maybe turn it into a poem, but it's really talking about their power. These judges, when you look into their power, they can go into your phone, they can go into your house, they can go to your job, they can go to your GPS, they can go to your bank accounts, they can order all of that. They control investigations. The MAC court judges control investigations. And so, if it's like, oh, wait a minute, that's my brother there. Oh, okay, we won't give subpoenas. We won't look into his bank account. We won't, um, so they control investigations. Their power is scary. Um, and that's why they absolutely have to be elected, because they have to be connected to the people. They have to be accountable to the people in some way, even if it's a little bit. They have to be scrutinized. We need the cream of the crop, um, people that know how to handle themselves um, with the people of the county. So that they are appointed, and who's appointing them? The likes of Sam Madrano. He's on the Council of Judges, or whatever that group is called, that appoints these. Um, and they're not the cream of the crop. They're, matter of fact, they're quite the opposite. And so, that's a very important point that needs to get out. And I hope that this song helps that, because the next line is that El Pasoans have been deprived. Well, I'll read it to you. El Pasoans deprived, their voice swept away, while crime roams unchecked and the laws led astray. The deaths are disguised by falsehood and lies, as those in command wear a clever disguise. So, absolutely, what they were trying to do with Richard, um, disguise his code red, premeditated capital murder case with falsehoods and lies, to just say, oh, he was a good meal for the coyotes, or he just ran away, or he's down in Mexico, he's down in Cancun with a girl. Remember Danae Katzen? She'll never live that one down, and she'll, yeah, that is, we're not throwing up our hands and walking away. Let's just say that. So, of course, we're talking about Mario Raskin Ortiz, um, the medical examiner. Um, Deaths are disguised in falsehood and lies. So, crime roams unchecked, and the laws led astray, and the vote is swept away. I think that is very powerful. Uh, the next verse, we trusted in leaders, but they've broken the vow. The system's in ruin, so what do we do now? From ashes of voices, let our voices be clear. Let our voices be heard. Show our voices don't fear. So that was a verse that we tweaked. We had it that, you needed to report, you needed to complain, you needed to write those letters, and we're not dismissing that. That still needs to be done because they are not challenged. People do throw their hands up because it takes so much time, it takes so much learning curve to know how to write these different agencies, and there's so much bureaucracy. You'll write a letter and they'll come back and um, the response will, you can't really understand the response so much. They will either point you into another direction, or they will just give you like this twisted response that you don't think anything's happening, but it might mean something really good. It's very hard to decipher. You really need a trained lawyer to decipher these letters. And so what we've done is just kind of, um, I, how do I explain it? We just said, okay, we'll write them another letter. We'll write them another letter. We'll supplement. And that's how we've gotten as far as we have, which is pretty far. It's pretty far. We've broken the case. They never intended us to break the case, but we've broken the case. And now, because once the the cogs of justice um, and the accountability start moving, which they are, because now DC is coming to El Paso, and we'll see. It's a lot of things happen that you can't see. You just have to have faith on. And so we just keep going, and then all of a sudden, something like notices that DC is coming to El Paso, and I will let you know more about that. We know when, we know where, we know who, um, but after it happens, I'll have to tell you if So say a prayer, because we're not 100% convinced. There's um, so much betrayal in all of this, but we always have some hope. Um, but once the accountability gets started, we have the hard evidence, we have the circumstantial evidence, we have the irregularities, we have it. We know what happened, and of course, Dallas Hart is a prime suspect for the murder. So is Lonnie Hart. So is Tavita Newson. Um, CID agent. Can you just wrap your head around that one? Platoon leader, wrap your head around that one. Um, so to to throw your hands up, to not say anything, is is really what they want. And that's why we said, let your voices be heard. If it's writing a poem, if it's writing a song, if it's on social media, but more importantly, it's writing them, writing them. Don't forget, we wrote the Department of Justice with the FBI asking them for help at the very beginning, a um, very official request. That is very powerful evidence for us that they dropped the accountability. And so, that was what, 4 years ago we did that. So you have to build up your case. You can't go into the courts right now just expecting them to do the justice for you. You cannot. The courts um, are too risky. They're really risky. So you have to have all the work done before you even um, uh, get your going. You need to know the outcome of your lawsuit before you even put your lawsuit in there. Okay. And that's where we're at right now. We weren't there 2 years ago. We weren't there 3 years ago, or 1 year ago. We are there now. We have broken the case, and we know what the outcome of our lawsuit on wrongful death will result as, because there's no other outcome but that they are absolutely derelict in their duty and even criminal in their duty. So yeah, and the death penalty, the lethal injection, has to be on the table. Absolutely, so we've got that together, and um, that's why we need to let people know how far we've come. And I think this song is a good idea, one way to do it. Um, because the fact is, when you go in there, you have the upper hand because they work for you, right? They they have a duty to you, and so that's our next verse. They work for us, demand what is right, hold them accountable, shine a light. From the ashes of voices, let justice arise for those who have perished and for the lost cries. And of course, that is for our son, right? It's for all the hundreds of thousands of children. It's for Glennon Oakley Jr., um, those that have perished, and for the lost cries. Together we rise, reclaiming our fate, demanding the truth before it's too late. Grace in the Constitution, God's power and our guide. With every demand, we reclaim our pride. And, you know, the law, God's law, the Constitution, God's grace uh, is our pride, right? That is who we need to um, glorify in all of this, because to have our rights, to have our civil rights, to have laws that say you have the right to elect your judges, those that um, will have so much power over you. They are they they need to depend on you back. And so, and I hope that we got that in that verse. I think it's pretty good. We did tweak it for that meaning. So, and of course, we wanted to end it with, fight, fight, fight. Let your fire ignite. Vote, vote, vote. Let's make it just and right. Um, that voting power is so important. And that's why there's a huge group of people saying, oh, don't even vote, don't even vote. Um, so, go vote. It's very, very important. And we wanted to end with our son Richard, the whistleblower brave, exposed the dark underbelly, the children to save. And then we wanted to end it with you. Team Find Richard Halliday, persistent and strong, revealing the truths in a world gone wrong. And we thank you so much for that. So that's amazing that this was turned into a country and western song. I used to, of course, being raised in Texas, used to go to country and western dances when they did, all the two-step and the polka and the waltzes and all of that. It was really wonderful. I have lots of great memories. So I really have a heart for country and western music. Of course, I've lived most of my life over in Europe with Richard. Richard absolutely left. His whole life was spent in Europe. And that's what I was trying to tell CID before I knew how dirty they were and how they were part of the murder of Richard. And I was like, you don't understand. Um, he was raised in Europe. He was raised in, with Irish music, with, Phantom of the Opera, with K-pop, right? With K-pop. Um, so it's just a different culture. It was a different culture. And when he got to El Paso, they thought that he was lying to them. Um, but he wasn't, and he saw what they were doing, the criminal trafficking, and he absolutely blew the whistle. So, thank you so much, everybody. This is Sunday, and I will be back tomorrow. Please share the song. I'm gonna put it up on Facebook right now after I um, tune out, and just please share it. Please explain it to people. You can share the lyrics also. And yeah, we love you. Thank you so much. And we will be back tomorrow, God willing.